Good evening, friends. Welcome to the second chapter of 8th Standard NCERT. This chapter is about land, soil, land degradation, water management, water harvesting, and little bit about natural vegetation and wildlife. So mostly we are going to concentrate more on land and soil. Okay. Natural vegetation and wildlife, it is not much significant chapter in from the point of view of prelims or mains. Very generalized information. Okay. So friends, let us start with land and soil. So when we see land, what do we mean by land? So land is nothing but a uppermost surface of the lithosphere that we see. So as we know that almost 30% we have availability of land. Okay. So 30% of the earth's surface is covered with the land and rest 70% is with the water or ocean. Okay. So let us understand this land and its characteristics. So overall, we see so many people are living on the land. We cannot live in the water like fishes. So 90% of the people are living just on the 30% of the land nowadays. Okay. And remaining 70% of the land is sparsely populated by or very less populated by, or it is either covered by the forest. Okay. So 90% you can see day by day, because of the urbanization, this quantity is increasing, that more and more people are occupying less and less amount of land. Okay. So because of that, this is a little bit of, this chapter is of little bit of importance. These facts you can use for writing answers in GS1 and GS3 of your mains examination. Okay. So 90% of the people are occupying 30% of the land. So 90-30 ratio you should remember. So when we say people are occupying the land, so for what purpose they are occupying the land, for why they are using that land, to that we call as a land use. So land use is nothing but the purpose for which we are using that particular land. So what are the purposes we are using the land? Sometimes for the agriculture, sometimes for the industry, sometimes for the creation of settlements, sometimes for some other purposes like recreational purposes. So these are the different purposes or uses of the land. To them we call it as a land use. So in any area, for what purpose we are going to use that particular land or land use depends upon various factors. So what are those factors? So depending upon the geographical location. So particular geographical location, for example, is very good for the agriculture, then we'll use that for the agriculture. If you cannot do any agriculture, it's very unfertile land, so you will build buildings over there or will start industry over there. Okay. So type of soil, type of climate, type of geography, type of minerals availability. If for example there is iron ore or iron is present in a very good quantity in the land, so you will make iron ore out of that. So land use will be for the creation of ore. So depending upon these various factors, land use is determined. So land can be classified into two types. First is private land, another is community land or public land. So private land means it is owned by an individual. Okay. And community land means either it is owned by the government or panchayat or district authority or state authority. This community land is also called as a common property resources. So because it is used by the common people, it is shared by the all. So that is why we are calling it as a common property resources. So human beings and technology human beings make use of technology to convert particular land into useful land. So technology is also very useful for converting or taking consideration of land use in the world. Okay. So friends, when we are saying land, now let us move towards, because of the land use, we are degrading land of its qualities. So land is used for agriculture, it is used for industries. So because of these various usages and irresponsible usages of the land, it leads to land degradation, land resource degradation. So for that, conservation of land is very, very important. So conservation of land means what? Conservation of land means we have to save it from the degradation. We have to save its resources. So what are the land resources? So when we say land resources, the first one is the soil. So what is the soil? So you can see this diagram that soil is nothing but a thin cover. So you can see up till here. So it is a thin cover. So it is a thin cover of minerals. Okay. To that we call it as a soil. So it has various structures, like it has a sand, it has a grain, it has a clay. So detailed we are going to see in a different chapter. So soil has a structure, soil has a texture, so many things soil have. Soil have different layers, so that we are calling it soil profiling. Okay. So as we move upwards, we will see these different parts. So this thin layer of a substance or thin layer of a soil is made up of through a long process. Soil, it takes millions of years for the formation of soil. So more than 100 years is taken to just form 1 centimeter of soil. So you can see how long process it is to the formation of the soil. And this process happens because of the process of withering. We have seen in the chapter of withering and erosion that withering is in situ degradation of a rock. So on the site degradation of rock, because of this on-site degradation, the formation of soil happens. So withering is a must process for the formation of soil. Because of the withering, rocks convert into the soil. So soil is nothing but is not just a powder of rock. Okay, understand this. It is not just you powder the rock into the into the some mixer grinder and then you're calling it as a soil. So it is not like that. So soil is also containing organic matter. It is also containing water. It is containing microorganisms. It is containing air. So humus, organic matter, air, microorganisms, these so many factors combined together, it makes soil. Getting it? So soil has a different layer. So you can see this top layer of the soil is very full of organic matter. As you go down, less organic matter, and as you go to the third layer, you will see only weathered rock material. You won't see any other humus or any other organic material. So in this way, soil forms, and withering is the most important process for the formation of soil. Now, when I am talking about soil and we are talking about land, there are certain definitions in this chapter, like landslide. So what is a landslide? Landslide, you might have seen if you are traveling by the highway during the rainy season. So suddenly a huge rock will come and fall on the road and entire traffic will stop. This is more evident in the Himalayas. It is less evident in the Western Ghat, but it is more evident in the Himalayas. So because of this landslide, what is happening? Landslide is very dangerous for the life. It is very destructive for the property. So landslide is nothing but a mass movement of rock. What is a mass movement? That also we are going to see in the 11th standard NCERT. So mass movement means a huge debris or huge body of land which under the influence of gravity, it moves from one place to another place. We call it as a mass movement. So this leads to the landslide. So there are different reasons for the landslide. So weathering is one of the reason. Then we can say floods are another reason. Rain are another reason. Volcanoes are another reason. Earthquake. So these are the various reasons for the landslide. So when we are saying landslide, and this landslide comes under the disaster management. When we are going to see a disaster management as a separate chapter, under that also we are going to see the landslide. So these landslide, you will learn in this chapter like what is a disaster management cycle. So prevention, mitigation, and building up the capacity. Okay, so these are the various things which are the part of this disaster management cycle. So in this chapter, in a very brief manner, they have talked about mitigation techniques of the landslide. So since this chapter is about only about land, so what are the mitigation techniques of landslide? So first important factor in mitigation is hazard mapping. Hazard mapping, hazard means threat. So threat of landslide. So whenever you have a threat of landslide, you should know where is it very prominent, where you have very weak rocks, where you have very weak mountains, where you have more faults, where earthquake occurs, where you have more chances of floods, where you get very high rainfall. So you should do the hazard mapping. You should do the historical study of the particular area. Like in the past, how much landslide have happened in this particular area and what is the probability in the future. So you calling it as a hazard mapping. Then you come to know, okay, these are the areas where hazard can occur, where this disaster can occur. Then you can take particular steps. So like if you go into the mountains by train or by bus, you will see certain mountain walls. They are particularly built by the government. They are covered with the steel nets, or they are let us say they make a certain type of plaster, waterproof plaster on these walls. So I don't know you have seen this in Andhra or not, but in Maharashtra it is a very common sight if you go to the Western Ghats, specifically Lonavala and Khandala in this region. Okay, so first important mitigation technique of landslide is construction of retention wall to stop the land formation. So for example, here you have a mountain. Okay, now here it is very prominent for the mountain to have landslides. So you construct a wall on the mountain like this, getting it. So anyways, if this landslide happens, so all the debris will be stopped over here. Okay, so it won't come down. So here downside you have settlements, you have houses. So these houses will be saved over here. So in this way, retention wall is very important in this case. So increase the vegetation cover to arrest the landslide. What plant does? Plant roots, they hold the soil. When they hold the soil, what happens? The chances of the landslide decrease. Second thing, when rainfall occurs, then it does not directly fall on the mountains or on the land. It first falls on the bodies of the plants. So because of that, what happens? It does not erode the land, or it does not wither a land or a mountain. It reduces the chances of landslide. So vegetation cover is very important. First of all, they save particular mountain from flooding or hitting directly by the rains. Then second thing is their roots, they hold the soil. So that's why increasing the vegetation cover is also one of the important for the mitigation technique of the landslide. Then surface drainage control works to control the movement of the landslide along the rainwater spring flows. So surface drainage, okay. So for example, you have a mountain over here. So now when rainfall occurs, then different springs are coming like this, okay, like this. So it makes these points prone to the landslide, getting it. So what do? You make a drainage, you make a very organized drainage over here on the top of the mountain, where just through one channel it will go to somewhere, getting it. So in this way, it will reduce the chances of landslide, getting it. So in this way, there are various mitigation techniques of the landslide. These things we are also going to study in detail when we are going to see the 11th after disaster management. This type of questions can be asked in the examination, prelim examination. These are little bit subjective, objective type of question. They are not a solely objective question as you have in the prelims. They have little bit subjectivity in them. Okay, so definitely be careful of these questions. They can be asked, which of the following can be considered as a mitigation technique for the landslide according to you, and they will give you this 1, 2, 3, 4 type of options. Okay, so I hope you guys have understood this. Okay, so when we are seeing about soil degradation, before understanding the soil degradation, let us understand what are the factors which are responsible for the formation of the soil. When we say soil, when we are talking about this thin cover, the first important factor is process of weathering. Process of weathering means what? Process of degradation. Process of degradation depends upon what factors? So first is a parent rock. So what type of rock you have? Whether you have very hard rock, whether you have a sedimentary rock, whether you have a basaltic rock, or whether you have a metamorphic rock, they will determine the type of soil that you have. So parent rock will talk about what type of soil you have and how fast you will develop the soil. If it is a basaltic rock, very hard rock, you will have a black soil, and like you have in Andhra, you have in the Deccan Plateau. So this soil will be developed very slowly because rock is very hard. Getting it? So parent rock will determine the color, texture, chemical properties, mineral content of the particular soil, because whatever minerals will be there in the parent rock, these minerals will only come into the soil. Second thing is a relief. Relief means what? Relief means, so this is a mountain. Let us say this is a mountain. So relief means this is a slope, a kind of angle. So altitude, slope, that will determine the how fast this soil will be formed. So if slope is very high, soil formation will be very fast, because withering will be very fast, erosion will be very fast. So relief feature, what altitude it is there. If it is on the high altitude, soil formation will be again very fast, because wind will erode it, water will erode it. So relief feature will determine the type of soil formation and how fast it will form. Okay. Flora, fauna and microorganism. So if, for example, if you are staying on the equatorial region, then microorganism population is very high. So this high population of microorganism, it helps in the formation of soil. Microorganisms are one of the very important component in the soil formation, humus formation. So microorganism will degrade the dead plant, or it will degrade the dead animal. Because of that, humus formation will take place. So flora, fauna and microorganism. So more number of plants, more animals, so more organic matter will be there in that particular area. So you'll see very high quality soil in the lower latitude. But as you go to the higher latitude, soil quality is not good. Why soil quality is not good? Because of the cold season, microorganisms are very less. There you have less fauna, less flora, so you have very less biodiversity and very less humus content in. So very less humus content, soil, we cannot call it as a soil. We'll call it as powder of a rock. Getting it? So this flora, fauna and microorganism play very important role in the soil formation. Then definitely climate. Okay. So if you have a very hot climate, soil degradation, soil erosion will be very fast. When rainfall is very high, soil formation will be fast. If climate is cold, soil formation will be very slow. Degradation will be very slow. Getting it? And in the end, time. So time is a factor for everywhere. So more the time, less time, less amount of soil will be formed. More is the time, more amount of soil is formed. Okay. So definitely time is the major factor behind each and every phenomena on the earth. So definitely it is behind the soil formation as well. Okay. So these are the various factors for the formation of the soil, or these are the various factors which affect the formation of the soil. This is very important for your MCQ. Getting it? So you should remember this. Very important for our MCQ. Okay, the soil formation and the factors responsible for the soil formation. Now, once soil is formed, if it is not taken care properly, if you use it recklessly, if you use too much of chemical fertilizers, if you destroy the forest cover, if you do the intensive agriculture, then degradation of soil will take place. What do you mean by degradation? So as we know, we have grades in our school, A, B, C grade. So before, in soil also you can grade the soil. So initially you have a grade soil, then it has been degraded to the C grade soil. Why it has been degraded? Organic matter has been gone, microorganism flora has been destroyed, then there is less amount of mineral availability in the soil. Only one type of mineral is dominating in the soil. So we are calling it as a degradation of the soil. So why this soil degradation happens? So first is a let us say upper surface of the soil gets washed away in the flood. Because of the deforestation, there is no grass cover. So upper surface of the soil will be washed away in the rainfall or in the flood. So deforestation, overgrazing by the animals, because of that there won't be any grass to hold the soil. Grass holds soils very nicely. So overgrazing is also responsible for the degradation of the soil. Third, as I said, overuse of chemical fertilizers. So chemical fertilizers will destroy the soil. It will increase the salt content in the soil, and slowly your soil will be unfertile or infertile. Okay, rain wash, landslides, floods, they will all dissolve. This water will all wash away the important minerals, clay from the soil, and sand will be remained behind, which will make this soil infertile soil. Getting it? So these are the various reasons for the degradation of soil. Now, once soil is degraded, is it irreversible process? If it is too much degraded, then we can say it is irreversible. But generally, with certain measures, we can reverse this process. We call it as a conservation methods or conservation measures. So there are different conservation measures for the soil. So what are those conservation measures? So this is very important point for your prelim point of view. So star mark over here because of its importance. So soil conservation, or let us say soil rejuvenation, first important process is mulching. Mulching means what? Mulching means you cover the land. Okay, you have a land, you cover it with leaves. Okay, you cover it with leaves or plastic or grass or something. You cover that land with these things. So why to cover that land? So because of the mulching, water loss is not there in the soil. Getting it? So there is soil moisture when it is retained. You don't need to water soil again and again, and you conserve the upper layer of the soil. So because of that, soil is conserved. Getting it? Second important thing is a contour barriers. What are the contours? So contours are nothing but we can see these different like this. You will see on the mountain step like manner they have created. The steps are created on the mountains. So they are called as a contour barrier. So perpendicular to the slopes, these steps are created either by plugging the mountain or by the use of stones, by the use of rocks. They will create those steps called as a contour. So what happens? So because of these contours, when water is flowing like this, okay, it will get obstructions of this contour and it won't come directly at the base of the mountain. So it will be stopped and this water will be absorbed by the mountain itself over here. Getting it? So because of that, soil will not go washed away with the water or with the rainfall. Soil will not be washed away with the rainfall, and it will help in the conservation of soil. Getting it? Third important process of conservation of soil is a rock dam. So rock dam is nothing but you pile the rocks and obstruct the flow of the water in the particular area. Getting it? So for example, if you don't do that, so what will happen? Fast flowing water will create gullies like this. It will create gullies on the land, and these gullies will take huge amount of soil along with itself. Huge amount of soil, clay will be dissolved, and you will have gullies everywhere. So to stop this, what you do, perpendicular to the flow of water, you just create a dam over here like this. With the help of rocks, you pile up these rocks and you create a dam over here, calling it as a rock dam. Next important thing is a terrace farming. Terrace farming is similar to contour farming, but contours have very small steps. Terrace have a very large steps, like a huge terraces. They plug the mountain completely and they create the terrace perpendicular to the slope. And on these terraces, they will do the farming. So in the Northeast area and Southeast Asia, these terrace farming for the cultivation of rice is very famous. Because one reason is these people cannot live in the valleys, because valleys are very narrow and they flood very fast. So they have to live on the mountain. And to do the farming on the mountain, it is not possible. So they make big terraces. So these terraces help in the conservation of water as well as conservation of soil. Getting it? So this is one of the method of soil conservation. Then next method is intercropping. So intercropping means what? So intercropping helps to preserve the mineral content of the soil. So for example, between wheat crop, you grow the maize crop. Between the two, let us say, rice crops, in between, you take jowar or bajra. So in this way, uh, uh, what happens? Different minerals are replenished. Okay, so different crops are grown in alternate rows over here, and so on at different times. This is called as a intercropping. Okay, so it performs two functions. First function is minerals are preserved. Second function is when you remove one crop or you harvest one crop, another crop is always standing there. So this another crop which is standing there, it holds the soil properly. It does not allow the soil to wash away with the rain. So intercropping is very important factor. So when rice is properly grown, in between you're planting, you're taking another crop. So when rice is harvested, your wheat is there, then your bajra is there, your jowar is there. So it will hold the soil over there. Getting it? So this is a intercropping. Contour plugging. So contour plugging are the parallel to the slope. So parallel plugging is also done. So contour plugging is done to the very mild slopes. Slopes are not very high like mountain. So there you do the contour plugging. So parallel to the slopes, you let us say you make the contours so that water will be absorbed in this contour. Then last one is the shelter belts. Okay, so shelter belts. So here coastal and dry region, what they will do, rows of tree are like tree rows are made. So in the coastal and dry region, because of the winds, because of the heavy winds, these soil can be flown away or the soil can be eroded because of the speed of the wind. So because of you plant these trees or rows perpendicular to the speed, perpendicular to the direction of the wind. So because of that, these winds are stopped, or they create impediment for the wind to flow, and because of that, the soil is protected. Getting it? So these are the different methods for the protection of the and conservation of the soil. So I hope you guys have understood these different methodologies. Now guys, after seeing this soil, let us understand water. Water is very important. Without water, nothing can happen on this earth. 70% of our body is nothing but water. Our body contains 70% of water. Getting it? So water is very important factor. So conservation of water is also very important. So in this chapter, much has not been given about water, but some little bit of fact which are important for your mains point of view, those we'll see. Okay. So these facts you can use for writing in the answer. So a dripping tap waste in the conservation of water, you can write this, that dripping tap can waste 1200 liters of water in a year. So very huge quantity of water can be lost. Activity of average urban Indian household or average Indian individual. So he is 150 liters of water every day. Okay. So one person is using 150 liters of water. So they have given the breakage of how this water is used by the one person. So you can use these facts and figures in your exam. So drinking water, only 3 liters per day average person drinks. So maximum of water is used for the washing clothes and flushing, 40 liters of water. So here we can reduce this water use for the further conservation of water. So if you reduce the water use in this place, in flushing and washing clothes, huge amount of water will be saved. Almost 50% of the water will be saved. Getting it? So these are the important facts that you can use. So conservation of water resources is also one of the important topic that you should understand. When we said conservation of water resources are should be conserved from three factors. First, it should be conserved and it should be saved from misuse, overuse. Second, from pollution. So overuse, misuse, pollution and wastage. These are the three important things. So overuse, as we have seen, that 80 liters of water just used for the flushing and washing the clothes, that can be used. Pollution is very important, very serious thing. Nowadays, so many people are talking about water pollution. So water pollution needs to be stopped. Industrial effluent, agriculture waste, household waste, sewage, so many things, hazardous waste is all going into the water. So when in the pollution chapter also we are going to see this. So conservation of water is very important from this point of view. So how we can conserve the water? See, in case of India, 80% of the water is used by the agriculture. So conservation, very high chance of conservation is there in this case. So here we can use sprinkler irrigation, we can use in the dry region we can do trickle and drip irrigation. So you can save 80% of the water. Then canals are also very important source where water losses are happening. First is because of evaporation. Second is walls of the canal are not very well protected. So because of that, water seeps from the walls and it gets lost. So these things needs to be taken care. So usage of the sprinkler and usage of the drip water irrigation, usage of trickle irrigation are very important. Increasing the forest cover, getting it. So these are the very important thing for the conservation of water. Next, after conservation, to stop the wastage of the rainwater, we need to do the water harvesting. So water harvesting is very important. So water harvesting can be done at various levels. Like certain mineral companies like Aquafina and all, they are having huge water conservation plants on the top of the mountain. So they just conserve the water at the mountain top and they convert it into the mineral water. Getting it? So individual household, farmers, industries, they all can harvest the water. So rainwater harvest is nothing but a collecting rainwater from the rooftops. Okay, and either it is collected, either it is stored in the tanks or it is directed towards the natural water aquifers below the ground. So it is said that just 2 hours of sufficient rainfall can help to conserve 8,000 liters of water. So 8,000 liters of water can be conserved just in 2 hours. So see if let us say a population, one person can save 8,000 liters of water, then huge amount of water can be saved, harvested all over the country. Getting it? So this is one of the important technique of conservation of water. Getting it? So these are the important things in this chapter. Now next part of this chapter is very general and it's about wildlife protection, but not much has been given about wildlife. More was given about land, water conservation thing. Let us understand wildlife. When we say wildlife, so we have biosphere, we have seen the biosphere. So entire wildlife is present in the biosphere, it is conserved in the biosphere. Okay. So wildlife conservation is very important thing. So vultures in India, in terms of conservation, vulture is one of the species which has been threatened because of the human activities. So what we are doing, we are using a drug called diclofenac. This diclofenac is used for the purpose of killing the pain. So somebody has some muscle problem, some issues happening. So they are using this sedative called as a diclofenac. So because of this, sometimes this diclofenac is used for the cattle as well. So when these cattle die, these vultures, when they eat the flesh of the cattle, they just die because of the certain complexities in their body. So we are trying to ban this diclofenac usage in the cattle. Getting it? So to conserve the wildlife, we have created multiple things like national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, and biosphere reserves. We are going to see this in detail in environment chapters. So national park, wildlife sanctuary, and biosphere reserves, they have different purposes. The laws are different. Different activities are permitted in these different areas. Certain protocols have been made, like sites. Certain organizations and protocols have been set up. So this is a conservation of on international trade in endangered species of wildlife, fauna, and flora. So this convention is very important in preventing the smuggling of wildlife, whether it is a plant, whether it's an animal, but specifically it is targeting the endangered species. Okay, so according to IUCN, the species have been classified International Union of Conservation of Nature. So they classify the species as threatened, extinct in a wild, okay, vulnerable. In this way, these site only it places more importance on endangered species. Getting it? So in this way, different way of conservations have been done in case of wildlife and plants. So I hope you guys have understood this chapter. Now the chapters will be a little bit longer day by day. So I hope you have understood this chapter. Let us see some MCQs based on this chapter. Okay. So first MCQ is, which one of the following is not a factor in the soil formation? Yes, definitely soil texture. It is a part of the soil. Okay. Then which one of the following methods is most appropriate to check the soil erosion on the steep slope? Yes, mulching, terrace cultivation. Which one of the following is not in favor of the conservation of nature? Yes, switch off the bulb when not in use, close the tap immediately, dispose the polybags after shopping. Okay, dispose the polybags. It's not in favor of the conservation of nature. Okay, so switching the bulb, when you save the electricity, definitely you are saving the water, you are saving the coal. So definitely nature will be conserved in this way. Okay. Now next you have match the following. So let us match these things. Land use. What is a land use? Productive use of a land. Humus, organic matter deposited on the topsoil. Rock dams, prevent the soil erosion. Biosphere, narrow zone of contact between lithosphere, hydrosphere, and atmosphere. So very simple and very important from pre-point of view. So this chapter will be having some subjective and objective, both the dimensions. So understand both the dimensions, and if you have any doubt, then please let me know. Okay. So thank you guys. See you tomorrow for the next chapter.